one of the recommendation or indications traditionally given in the slokas is Udara. So Udara is grossly compared with ascites, intestinal obstruction, and many other conditions. Even splenomegaly, hepatomegaly are also considered sometimes. So can it be a candidate for Nitya Virechana in case of Udara? Would you use that or?
See, before going directly using this one, we need to assess the condition properly. First thing, whether there is an intestinal obstruction, we need to confirm it is an obstruction there. If there is an obstruction, what is the thing which is causing the obstruction, that has to be identified. If it is just as a stool, it is a fecalith or something like that, it is obstructing, then we can go for something which can be evacuated, and we can go for some purgation type of material, even to the Haritaki Churna, or even directly to the Trivrit Leha and something like that, we can go for it. But if the obstruction is due to some sort of growth inside, then it is not recommended that we go for a Virechana in those conditions by giving some medicines. That is point number one. Point number two, there are occasions where paralytic ileus, there is one condition where a nerve supply to the intestines has been lost due to various reasons. Even then there will be constipation and obstruction to the colon, and these things will be there. Then also it should be very difficult to just simply give a thought that we can simply give medicine in such a way that it can be removed. We need to assess those conditions. Very typically we need to assess those conditions, and accordingly we need to give medicines. If there is any growth inside, take care not to use any such type of medicines which can be pushing the things. It cannot be pushed because it's a growth over there. It's obstructing. It needs to be a surgical removal or something other than that, or some other interventions are required. In case of there is an obstruction which is simply due to stools and such type of things, hard stools, maybe because of strong vibandha or something like that, or even fecalith, then it is okay. We can do it. To some extent, we can use these drugs, which are maybe stronger by comparing the strength of the person and all those things. We can keep those things in mind, and we can use the drugs. Second thing, very important, is if there is ascites, udara, and once again there is a lot of things to be understood in case of udara, whether it is yakrutolyodara, whether it is plihodara, or whether it is any other sort of things. So we need to understand. If it is enlargement of an organ which has induced and the form of an udara, then nothing can be given. If you give this one also, it won't work. It won't work in that sense. So it needs to be very careful in handling these things. So particularly in case of Jatodaka, we say it, because of these things where there is udaka already present, means in the peritoneal cavity there is a free fluid. In that condition only we can go for the removal, and there we can use Nitya Virechana dravyas. And for the purpose of Nitya Virechana, that there is a free peritoneal fluid is there, in those conditions, instead of using Abhyarishta, we have a better drugs to use it. Like Danthyarishta is there, we can go for it. Then we have Jalodhari Ras is there. We have another Jayapala containing drugs are there. So there are many other modalities where you can use more and even stronger comparatively. Even Sukha Virechana Leha, that is Trivrit Leha, can be given in little bit higher doses on daily basis, then that also will help. So there are many other drugs other than Abhyarishta which can be used for the Nitya Virechana purpose.